Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Full-Time Crime, Sit Down with Stuff. Today's case needs a very graphic warning. My husband couldn't even listen to it all the way through. He was like, oh my god, this is so gross. You can physically feel pain. Like when I was first listening to this, I had chills, I had sweats, I had it all. So if you can't listen to that type of stuff, it will not offend me. Don't even try it, because I'm telling you, I promise. Sorry, my contacts are a little dry. So anyways, yeah. This case is about Joe Clark, who they named the Bone Breaker, because that's what a lot of this is about, is he gets joy out of hearing bones break and that type of thing. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, y'all, let's get into it. This case is about a 17-year-old boy at the time that he committed the crime that got him caught. Now, I do think the year before was his first crime. He murdered this boy, and I'm going to get into this, okay? His name, the killer, Joe Clark. July 4th, 1994, Chris Steiner. He was I believe, 14-year-old boy. His dad checked on him at 10 p.m. He was sound asleep in his bed. The next morning, he checked at 6:15 a.m. because he worked at McDonald's. He was a good kid, and he was excited about his job. He loved it. He loved getting up. He loved going to work. He was in his bed, and it had everyone stumped because, yes, he had snuck out before, but he never stayed out. And the cops put this as either a runaway or just a kid that snuck out, maybe partied and was a little late to come home. The 3 red flags that his father recognized, that knew something was wrong, that knew that this wasn't one of them nights. First of all, downstairs, the screen was cut big enough for a body to go through. There was footprints, like a foot, like perfectly outside of the window. That door was unlocked. Also, the doors that shut and opened, they were unlocked. There was muddy footprints inside the house. So he knew that Chris Steiner didn't just leave his residence, that he was more likely abducted, but the police wasn't taking him serious. Plus, the cops thought it was July 4th weekend. Why wouldn't this be a day he snuck out? His parents knew him best of all, so of course they knew he didn't. Especially with everything else. I mean, if you're going to sneak out, you're not going to leave footprints and cut screens and stuff like that. Why would he need to cut a screen? I mean, come on. Police did shitey work on this one. 6 days later, on the 10th of July, they found his body. They found him drooped over a half-submerged tree in the Wisconsin River. He was unrecognizable so bad from the decomposition, the heavy decomposition. They didn't know who he was at first. I think they found him through dental records. And they wrote it down as an accidental drowning because they found water in his lungs. But, like I said, his parents knew that wasn't the case. And the case went cold. Well, almost 1 year later, Thaddeus Phillips moved into that neighborhood about 2 weeks prior to this event happening. He was 12 years old, and I'm about to give y'all the story, tell y'all the story about Thaddeus Phillips. Now, this is the story that y'all are probably going to be like, ugh, because it had me like that. Okay. Thaddeus, he was 12 years old. He had been staying up watching TV, I think, with his sister. And they both fell asleep on the couch, which amazes me because no one woke up, like, during this happening. Well, Joe Clark made his way into that house. I guess he had been watching him, and he picked him up off the couch. Well, Thaddeus said that his father always carried him to bed a lot. So that's what he thought was going on. But once he realized that his father or whoever was laying him on the ground outside, he woke immediately up. He was still disoriented, but he still thought it was a family friend. Don't ask me. He was 12 years old. Remember this, okay, throughout the story, because you're going to be like, why would anyone not see red flags? But just listen. Thaddeus, he thought it was a friend of the family. He knew his dad and his mother were alcoholics. His dad probably didn't want to get up and help a family friend with the car. And Joe Clark even said, I have a car right over this hill. Can you please help me with it? I really need the help. Well, being the nice kid he was, he said, sure, it's not that far. So he walked him about a half a mile down the street to his house. And he was like, do you want to walk in the house with me? Well, Thaddeus said he didn't have anything to worry about because back then, you know, it was 1995. There was no reason to be scared of this guy. He noticed he was just a couple years older than him. So he went inside with him. Biggest mistake of his life. Because when he went inside with him, Thaddeus then mentioned, do you like model cars? Are you into model cars? So that's when Thaddeus walked upstairs. He said this place was a real dump, like a real dump, and that Joe Clark had said his mom was out of town babysitting, or maybe even not all the way out of town, but still babysitting for her sister. So I guess he knew he was going to have the house to himself for a while. Well, they went upstairs, and the minute that he seen the model cars, life as he knew it was over. He said that Joe Clark just freaked out on him. Freaked out and threw him on the bed. And the minute he threw him on the bed, he sat on him and then had his back towards him, grabbed one of his ankles and twisted it so hard it was backwards. He felt it snap. Well, right then and there, he said Joe Clark, as soon as he got done, he sat next to him on the bed and put his hands on his head. Well, poor Thaddeus tried to make it run for it. He said the adrenaline, he guessed, is why he wasn't feeling pain, but he could feel his ankle bone slipping past his foot bone, like where it should have connected. And he said he didn't care. Like, he was so scared. He ran down the stairs, ran through the kitchen, halfway to the living room door before Joe caught up with him. Well, Joe shoved him on the couch. And next, he raised his his left thigh, the same leg that he just broke his ankle, lifted it so high over his head that his thigh snapped. Well, after that, it was like a Jekyll and Hyde. Like, Joe Clark actually started speaking to him, telling him, you know, about problems in his life, problems growing up, stuff like that. Well, Joe Clark was such a soldier, and he was 12 years old. He was like, if I can get this guy to keep talking, he's not going to want to hurt me. Little did he know at the time. anyways, once he threw him on the couch, he said about a half a day went through. He was watching TV with him, talking with him and everything. All of a sudden, he picks Thaddeus up and walks upstairs and throws him back on the bed. This time, he grabs his right ankle and does the same thing. Now, Joe did say that he was fighting back, like Joe Clark's back would be towards him while he was grabbing his ankle or whatnot, and he would be punching him at the back of the head, and that would just only make him mad. He twisted this ankle until he said his skin looked like a twisted rubber band, and that he was trying to make it to where he was disabled and he would leave him upstairs while he went on a date with his 13-year-old girlfriend. Now remember, he was 17. Well, as soon as he went outside, he heard the door close and he heard the car start and leave. He knew this was his time, but you gotta remember, his thigh and his left ankle was broke. His right ankle now was broke. He said he had no choice but to throw himself head first down them steps. He passed out. He woke back up. He didn't make it no further than the living room, waking up, passing out, before they got home. Well, he said he kind of crawled behind a couch and stayed very still because Joe brought his girlfriend in. They spoke a little while in the kitchen, and she left. Well, I guess he went and looked for him, and he was like, oh my God, he's not here. He looked through the whole house and found him behind the couch. That angered him so much. He picked him up, carried him back upstairs. What's messed up is he also had splints and different casts for feet and legs that would be broken, and you would put them in after, of course, having surgery or whatever you needed. I just think that he was getting off on, watching him trying to walk around on his broken legs and feet. So anyways, he tried to put him on the bed and twist at his ankle some more. And it was so excruciating that he didn't know what to do. He was scared to fight back because he seen what happened last time. But also scared not to. I mean, he needed to get away, right? Well, he was trying to befriend the enemy. Well, anyways, he carries him back downstairs. And I think Thaddeus fell asleep overnight. And that morning, Joe was working on his car off and on all day. And he would come in, bitch about the car, take it out on Thaddeus. Then it was like a cycle. Well, at one point, Thaddeus said, can I please call my parents? I'm sure they're worried. And Joe was like, sure. Handed him a phone knowing it was disconnected. He got off on this stuff because there was a couple times after he broke his legs and stuff that he would pleasure himself in front of Thaddeus. So he really got off on this type of stuff. After that, one time when he was twisting his ankles and stuff, Thaddeus was screaming, and he put a pillow over his face and said, you either hold this here and be quiet, or I'm going to hold it there and suffocate you, or I will break your neck or break your back until you're paralyzed. And Thaddeus believed him 100% because look at everything else he done. Anyways, after this, now the second time Thaddeus went to leave, Joe went to leave, he put Thaddeus in this, I will post pictures throughout this story, this gross closet, and he would lock the door so he thought he couldn't get out. And Thaddeus said once he heard the car shut, or the door shut, and the car move, he knew it was time to, now or never. Hush, sissy. So then, what happened was he threw himself back down the stairs. Passed out. Crawled a little bit, passed out. Crawled a little bit, passed out. Well, he ended up finding one of them phones on the walls that had the dangly little twirly cords that went all the way to the floor. And he said he found himself extremely lucky to find that. And that the dial tone was on the handset part. Because if not, he don't know how he would have been up there to dial it. Well, anyways, he called 911. And gave Joe Clark's name. And they said, stay still. We know exactly where you're at. He's a criminal. Throughout this process, Thaddeus had asked Joe, if you like why are you doing this? And Joe would be like, I like the sound of crunching bones. I like the sound. I like the feeling it makes. All that. He said, it's kind of made me giggle. Thaddeus was like, why don't you do it on yourself then? Not me, you. But he said, because I can never get the angle right. And whatever, you were just a pussy and you couldn't handle it. But you would put this on these younger children that you knew you can overpower. You coward. Anyways, he called 911. They said, stay there. We'll be there in a few minutes. We know exactly where you are. We've dealt with him before. Cops showed up a few minutes later. Couldn't believe what they seen. They were in shock at how bad Thaddeus was and how mangled his legs were. They rescued him, took him to the hospital. He needed so many surgeries. Luckily, he would be able to walk again in the way, I don't know if you would call it past future, not past future, but you know what I mean, in the future, but way in the future, because he had to have surgery after surgery. He said his thigh swelled up the next morning after he fell asleep like a basketball, bruised, yellow, didn't even look like human feet. So anyways, when they caught up with Joe, the first thing Joe says is, oh, he's still alive? He said, I didn't think he'd be alive by now. Now, one thing they did talk about is Joe asked him, did you do this to anyone else before? And he said, yes, there was 2 people before you. One was named, I forgot the name. The second name was, and he named Chris Steiner. So when Thaddeus named Chris Steiner to the cops, they looked it up, death records. They exhumed him and found the almost identical breaks in his legs. That's what happened. That Joe Clark broke his bones in the exact same way and threw him over that stump so he would drown. Also, another thing he did to Thaddeus was he took his kneecaps and he turned them around all the way backwards. He said his feet were facing backwards when he was twisting them, that his ankle skin looked like a twisted rubber band, that when the cops found him, his ankles were sideways, they were deformed, and he's lucky that he didn't break his neck and stuff because he killed before. Anyways, he ended up getting, I believe, attempted murder, murder in the first degree, so he got life with that pro. Yeah, so he was actually on a show, if y'all watch it, I watch it all the time, called I Survived. He was one of 3 stories. If y'all want to watch that, feel free, because you hear it from Thaddeus out of his own mouth. Also, there was a couple other stories I found on YouTube. Y'all have to look it up to believe it yourself. It is amazing in the worst way. So anyways, that's my story for today. I'm sorry it was kind of like, I've had a couple people mention it to me, and then I seen one YouTuber, Elise, Annie Elise, she covered it. She said the same thing I did. Y'all could have warned me. Oh, it was so gross. But anyways, that's all for today. And please, please, please leave comments down below. Let me know if you think he got justice. What y'all think about it. If it grossed y'all out, or if it wasn't that gross to y'all, if y'all are used to seeing these cases. I have looked over 1 million cases, and I can tell y'all this. I've never seen nothing like this. Never. Never. And, oh, God. Poor Thaddeus and poor Chris Steiner. Oh, and also in Joe Clark's room, they found a notebook. 3 layers, 3 columns. One said, "Can wait," at the top. The other said, "Get to now." And then the third one said, "Leg thing." And then they had, I think, a total of 27 names on that page. So these were people he was planning to do the leg thing, or God knows what. So, yeah, I will also post a picture of that. Anyways, thanks for clicking on this video. I'm glad that y'all are supporting me. I support everybody I can, and hopefully sooner than later, I make a difference, you know. Anyways, y'all have a great day and stay safe, okay? And I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.